Congratulations! You've come up with the perfect idea. You've spent countless hours and sleepless nights bringing it to life, perfecting every minute detail. In your mind, it's the next big thing, or so you thought. You get out into the world and pitch your product to potential retailers or investors, only to be told no. Or worse, met with, the truth is, sometimes it's them, but more often than not, it's you. But no worries, I'm here to tell you why your pitch sucks and tips on, well, how to make it not suck. Hey y'all, my name is Drea. I'm your personal retail expert and retail buyer. I have over 16 years of retail experience, and I think I might just start saying I have over a decade of retail experience, because hearing myself say I have 16 years of experience in anything just makes me feel old. However, nonetheless, I have over 16 years of retail experience and have worked for some of the country's largest retailers in varying roles. However, more than half of that time has been spent as a retail buyer, where I ultimately decide where product is sold in a retailer stores and or on their website. My goal here is to share my industry knowledge and expertise to help historically underrepresented businesses, aka hubs, by arming them with first-hand knowledge on how to succeed in retail. And I classify hubs where at least 51% of the company is either women-owned, minority-owned, LGBTQ+ owned, veteran-owned, or owned by those with disabilities. And today we're going to be talking about something that's absolutely imperative for any business owner to have down, and that's your pitch. Admittedly, pitch is a broad term. You have things like your pitch meeting, preparing your pitch deck, pitching to investors, but for the sake of today's video, we're going to be focusing on what's known as your elevator pitch. And even though I'm going to be discussing in the context of retail, the tips I'm going to be sharing can be lifted and landed across virtually any industry. Now, what is a pitch? Over the years, I've sat through some really bad pitches. However, the components of a good pitch is surprisingly simple. In essence, it's anchored into two parts. One, it's what your product or service is and what need it fills. That's it. However, this trips up a lot of people. Now, why is this important? Your pitch is meant to amass interest in your product or service. In other words, to grab the listener's attention and make them want to know more. It can be the difference between a buyer saying, when as soon as you can ship, or and for those really looking to get into retail seriously, this can be an important asset to have when you're at different events within the industry and you're communicating with people like buyers, and it can also be what gets you a formal pitch meeting. A pitch is just also great to have on deck in the back of your mind whenever you're just simply socializing your brand with others in an effort to communicate its purpose. Now, disclaimer. The tips I'm going to share with you today is based solely on my perspective as a buyer and someone who sat through several pitches throughout the years. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through the anatomy and effective pitch, key points to include, and on top of that, I'll end it with a real fake example to help you see these concepts in action and hopefully allow you to apply them in your business. With that, let's get into it. Number 1, keep it simple. You don't want to bore whomever you're speaking with before they've even had the chance to gain interest in your product or service. Because what happens is, like anytime anyone's engaged in a lengthy conversation they have absolutely no interest in, they check out. So while you're giving a verbal dissertation about your company, they're thinking about what they're going to eat for lunch. The details should come later, after your audience has expressed some type of interest. And even then, you want to keep it concise, but it definitely doesn't belong in your initial pitch statement. Ideally, keep your pitch statement no more than 2 to 3 sentences, 4 at the absolute max. If you can't do that, then try again. Number 2, explain what your product or service is and what need it fills. This essentially is your pitch statement. Concise and to the point. Obviously, you'll want to make it sound a bit more appealing than that, but again, refer to step 1. Number 3, Leave your audience wanting to know more. This builds on the previous 2 steps in keeping your pitch simple, but wording your pitch in a way that generates interest and leads your audience to ask questions that allow you to share a bit more detail, but again, not too much. If you're finding any of this content useful, which I hope you are, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like, subscribe, and hit that bell. It really helps my channel out and helps me reach a broader audience and reach those who might also find my content beneficial. Number 4, include an offer and/or call to action. This is something that a lot of people often forget, which is mind-boggling to me, because essentially the entire purpose of you giving your pitch is because you want something from your audience. So this step comes after you've given your pitch statement, you've garnered interest from your audience, and answered any follow-up questions. You want to close by either offering your audience something or asking something of them. Do you offer a product? Tell me about it. Practice by sharing your pitch in the comments below. So let's say you're a company that specializes in handbags made from recycled water bottles. You're at a trade show and a buyer comes up to you and says, "Tell me more about your brand." You're pumped, you're so excited, but also a little bit nervous. But in the back of your mind, you know you've got your pitch down. You take a deep breath and you say, "Our focus is on sustainable fashion. All of our handbags are made from recycled water bottles in order to play a small but significant part in solving the world's pollution problem." In this example, the pitch statement is short, sweet, and to the point. In just a few sentences, you know what the product is and what need it fills at a socio-economic level, which can be extremely impactful in appealing to a broader audience and garnering true interest. You notice the buyer raise her brow and nod. You've hooked her. She says, "Interesting. Tell me more." And this is the invitation to divulge a bit more detail without going overboard. Remember, the goal is to string them along. You say, "So far, we've kept over 2 million water bottles out of landfills. At launch, we far exceeded sales expectations, selling out, and have since increased our production by 70% to keep up with the growing demand." So I want to call something out very important here. Some people think that saying your product sold out is a good thing and can seem appealing, but for a buyer, it can be a blazing red flag. As a buyer, this might signal that you don't have the operational efficiency or capacity or the level of reliability needed to fulfill orders. So in my response, I addressed this potential concern by saying what the company is doing to prevent this from happening in the future in order to keep up with growing demand. From here, you'll want to ease into your offer or call to action. So in this example, you might say, "I'd love the opportunity for a meeting to introduce you to our team and tell you more about our company, as well as send you some samples. Would it be okay for me to follow up with you via email?" At this point, hopefully you've done enough for the buyer to feel comfortable enough with sharing their contact information with you. Once you've got it, then it's on you to follow up to schedule to get that pitch meeting scheduled. The next step then becomes creating your pitch deck in preparation for your pitch meeting. Shameless plug, I do offer pitch deck creation services as well as pitch critiques on my website, rubyrin.com. I'll link it below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found today's content useful and are able to use it in your business. Remember, when developing your pitch, keep it simple. You may or may not get it right the first time, and that's okay. Continue to iterate. Practice on friends and family members and get their honest opinion. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And as always, blessings and blooms to you and your business. And until next time, bye.